These are in listen-only mode.
Good morning or good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. And today's webinar, we'll be talking about how to leverage Google Analytics to increase your phone calls. My name is Welton Han. I'm founder of Ring Marketing. And the reason I thought about putting together this webinar is after working with many small businesses across US and Canada, those business owners or marketing managers who are really on top of their Google Analytics trends typically have very high conversion rate. When I'm looking at conversion rate is number of clicks to the website, but ultimately it's not the number of clicks to the website. It's once people come to the site, we want to turn that into actual phone call. And Google Analytics is one of the best tools out there to try to increase conversions of the website. So that's why I thought about putting together a webinar to educate business owners and marketing managers as to how to leverage their Google Analytics. So that's first of all, go over why Google Analytics. First of all, it's free. So it's a free tool provided by Google. And to me, it's one of the best tools out there that provides live feedback as to what is going on with the website. For example, how many visitors are coming to the site? How many of them are new? And how many of them are returning visitors? When are they coming to the site? Right? The time of the day, you could actually figure out, okay, is it more people coming between 7 and 10 a.m. or in the evenings? So you really could segment that data. And what's also interesting is you can figure out where are they coming from, which sources or mediums. Are they coming from Google Organic? Are they coming from Yelp? Or are they coming from a dealer locator? Right? All these are very good things to find out where are they coming from. And to me, this is actually one of the most important is once people come to your website, where and what are they doing on the website? That's the behavior. And also very important is why did they leave the website? So we can look at the exit rate and the bounce rate to figure that out. And so I think definitely it's pretty critical to monitor and analyze your Google Analytics trend to increase conversions of the website. So I think there's a few goals I want to go over today with all of you. First of all is I think it's still relatively kind of complicated to log into Google Analytics. There's just so many data, and there's a lot of very, very advanced things you can do on Google Analytics. But today, my main goal here is to give you a Google Analytics 101 class here, is to hopefully after this webinar, you can confidently log into Google Analytics and navigate around Google Analytics confidently and look at some of the most important metrics. So today I want to tell you, hey, there's so many pages on Google Analytics. Which of these are actually the most important things you should be looking at and monitoring? And also very important is what do these numbers mean? Is it good or is it bad? So I'll definitely tell you what is good and what is bad and comparing that to industry average. And based on these numbers, what could you actually do to increase conversions? So this is kind of the goal for today. So let's jump right in. So let's talk about setup and sign in. So all you have to do is go to google.com/analytics. And this is the page that you will see. On the top right hand corner, all you have to do is sign in. Sign in with your Gmail or whatever account you have with this Google Analytics account. If you don't know what the login and password is or you never sign up, once you click on sign in, you will be brought into an account setup page. If you already have a login and password, once you log in, you will see an audience overview page like this. Then you know that the login and password you have already has Google Analytics installed. If you don't see this page once you sign in, you will most likely see this page here. And it's again very easy for you to set up. All you have to do is fill in what you want to call the account name, the website name, and the website URL. And that's it. And also set your time zone. And that's it. So what you need to do is once you sign up, is Google will give you a tracking code. So this tracking code, which is this, that looks kind of like a gibberish. So this code, you need to give it to your web developer. And your web developer will need to copy and paste this code onto, again, this, be very careful here, is this code need to be placed on all pages, every single page you want to track. So make sure your web developer put this on all pages that you want to track. A lot of mistake is the web developer will only put this on the home page, and then of course they're missing out on a lot of data when people go to other pages. So make sure to put this on all pages. So once that is installed, then you should be able to see this audience overview once you sign into Google Analytics. Okay. So next is, once you sign in, this is the audience overview page you will see. And on the left-hand side, you will see there's a lot of things you can drill down deep. So what I will do is kind of this arrow here is basically letting you know where we are looking at. And I'll kind of go down this list as we go and let you know which of these are important. So typically once you sign in, this is the page you will see, the audience overview. On the top right hand corner here, you get to set the time range you want the data from. So you can set a month, a year, and if you hover your mouse over this drop down menu, you also get to compare, for example, this month versus previous month, and you get to see the data differences. So typically, that's just for this example, let's look at the last 30 days of data. And you get to see the daily trend coming to your site on a daily basis. So you can see, at least for this client here, it's relatively smooth, but you can see lately, starting going into the winter months or getting colder, there's slightly to be less and less traffic. Okay, so at least you get to see the daily trend. And there's a bunch of numbers down here, which I kind of want to go over in detail with you. First of all, the one I looked at is users. Users are unique users. What this means is they've never been to the website before. So these are truly unique visitors. And sessions is just number of hits to the website. So some of these users, they might come back to the website multiple times. So this sessions just means total number of hits to the website. So a good way to also look at this is this pie chart over here. It shows you out of the total traffic, total hits, how many of these are returning visitors. So if your business heavily relies on repeat visitors, this will be a good metric to look at, is how many people are coming back to the website, whether they're returning customers or if your business really heavily relies on a lot of detailed research, such as windows and doors, window covering. These really do take time before they make up their mind. You really want to see a healthy amount of people coming back to your website. So page views is just total number of pages that were viewed by these people. And we can further break this down into, on average, once people get on your website, how many pages are they looking around on average? So there's a few metrics I look at here, and I kind of call these engagement metrics. And it's these three down here. This basically gives me a very, very overview as to how healthy this website is. So ideally, if you have a lot of rich content on your website, once people get on your website, they will want to look around and stay on your website to do in-depth research, look at pictures, things like that. So ideally, once they get on your website, you want them to spend on your website stay on your site as long as possible. So for this example here, on average, people spend a minute and 38 seconds. So keep in mind this is average. So for those who are very, very in-depth research people, that's very, very warm, they might spend 3, 4, 5 minutes. And for those who aren't that engaged, of course, they will leave. So this, keep in mind, this is just average. And the industry average wise, it's a minute and 30 seconds. So ideally, first of all, for you to check is you want to make sure your website minimally is doing better than average. That's a minute and 30 seconds. So over here, it's just a little better than average. So again, you want to be much better than average. So I will say a good number to aim for would be about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. That would be what I would consider a very, very high engaged website. And once people get on website, ideally they want to go deep, right? You have multiple pages on your site. So over here is 2.86 pages. That's how many pages on average they drill down. Industry average is about 2 pages. So of course, the more engaged they are, the more deeper they will go, right? They will go to About Us, go to Services, go to Specials, go to galleries, go to testimonials, right? The more engaged they are, the higher that person will drill down. But ideally, you should be aiming for about 3.5 to 4 pages. That would be considered very, very high engagement. But again, this is just average. Minimally, you want to beat the average. Next is bounce rate. And bounce rate, when I talk to business owners, they always are afraid of bounce rate. The definition of bounce rate is once they come to any pages on your site, they didn't go onto any other pages on your site. And that will be counted as a bounce rate. Okay, so typically bounce rate really do hover between 40 and 65%, especially if you have a lot of returning visitors. Once people come back to your site, and if your phone number is very, very clear, it's already on the top right hand corner of the homepage. They already got your phone number, then they leave. That will create a bounce rate. So I don't look at bounce rate too much, because if that page already has exactly what they are looking for, of course, they're going to bounce off because they already got what they need. So I'm not super critical at bounce rate. I'm looking more at the average session and the total session duration. There's other metrics I look at a little bit more in depth, is called exit rate, which is not covered here. But bounce rate wise, I think it's pretty healthy as long as it's less than 65%. Okay, if it creeps up to be 70%, then that means overall, most likely, maybe on your homepage, once people go on there, maybe you have an auto playing video and people get spooked, right? Typically, if you have a video or a sound that auto plays on your website, maybe on homepage, people get afraid. Maybe they're at office environment, suddenly their speaker went off, right? They will bounce off, they'll click X and then leave your website right away. So that will create a high bounce rate. So one thing here, make sure that you don't have a autoplay video or a sound on your homepage. That will definitely increase the bounce rate. Okay. So that's this page here. So I typically look at pages per session, average session duration, and bounce rate. And these three are kind of the overall health of the website. And definitely you want to make sure you're minimally better than the average. So we're just on the overview section here. So let's start to move down. That's next, go on demographics interest. And I didn't take a snapshot of it because I think the data is not that accurate at all. Okay, so Google introduced Google Plus, and Google Plus is kind of supposedly Google's way of combating against Facebook. Because when you sign up for Facebook, Facebook knows a lot of your data, right? Such as your demographics, your age, your interest. So Google wants to replicate Facebook's effort. So now, or 2 years ago, it created Google Plus. So these data here, very little, unfortunately, very little people are using Google Plus. And my prediction in 2016, 2017 is most likely Google Plus will phase out pretty soon. Okay, so that's why this demographics and this interest data, I really don't trust this data as much. And a lot of people don't even have a Google Plus account. That's why I just don't think these data are that meaningful for you to make any judgment calls. So typically I just skip these. But what's kind of interesting for you to look at is, again, under audience, if you go into geography and location, you get to see where people are coming from, which drilling down to the city. Unfortunately, with Google Analytics, you're not able to get down to the zip code level. With Google AdWords, since you're paying Google to display your ads, you can really see a report of the zip codes. But over here, minimally, at least you get to see which cities people are coming from. So you can see this is most of the traffic is coming from Clearwater, St. Petersburg, Largo area in Florida. You get to see where they're coming from. So that could be a meaningful data for you. Next is let's keep going down to mobile and then click on overview. And this is what you see here. And this is pretty interesting data to me, is you get a breakdown of people using desktop, mobile, and tablet. So desktop would be like a real physical desktop computer or laptops. That would be bucketed under desktop. Mobile or any type of smartphones. And then tablet are like your iPad, any of the tablet devices. So what I'm looking at here is of the total amount of people coming to the site. Over here, based on this data, 70%, 70.7% of people are using desktop. Followed by mobile, about 14% of the people are coming to the site using mobile devices, followed by tablets. So what's interesting here is, again, this really depends on where you are at. I'm physically here in the Silicon Valley in the Bay Area. This number here is actually very, very high here in the San Francisco Bay Area. Typically about 30 to 35% of the people are mobile users. So with that in mind, when you look at these numbers here, if you don't have a mobile-friendly website yet, and if you see that more than 20% of the people coming to your site are using mobile devices, then I would really start to make sure you have a mobile-friendly website that's getting built. Because most likely, if your current website is not mobile-friendly, the conversion rate will not be that high. So this is typically what I look at is the split of the traffic coming from which device. Also, what's also kind of interesting is you get to see each of these devices their behavior. Once they come to your site, you can see desktop and tablets. Tablets are actually very people coming from tablet. They're very engaged, right? Very, very long, 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Desktop, a little bit less. And mobile devices typically have the lowest average session duration, especially if your website is not mobile friendly yet. Okay, but from all the data I looked at, typically if people are using their mobile devices, they're a little bit more rushed in doing in-depth research. Then you will typically see that the average session duration would be lower for mobile devices. Okay, so that's this mobile overview. That's a pretty critical one to look at to see whether you should have a mobile-friendly website. And also, if you do have a mobile-friendly website already, whether people are really engaged with the mobile site. Right? That would be a good breakdown. If they're spending very short amount of time, that again probably means your mobile website is not that friendly to use. Next is user flow. Again, if you go down audience and go down to user flow, this is pretty interesting, just different graphical format. I don't look at this one too much. I look at another another chart more in depth, but it's the same set of data. Really depends on which type of format you like to look at. But this is kind of interesting. Is first of all, you get to see which country they're coming from. Of course, we just want to look at the U.S. traffic for this example here. Once people, the slash here, just for education, all the data inside Google Analytics, if it just shows this slash backslash here, it just means it's the home page. So most people do enter in the website from the home page. Then what's kind of interesting is you get to follow the journey. You can see most out of 690 people, 103 people went onto the doors page. Once they get on here, you get to see where else do they go to, right? The most visited page after doors page is people going back to the home page again, right? And then people going to the galleries page because they were indoors, they want to see more pictures. So really get to see the journey of where people are going. That's kind of interesting. Okay, and you get to see second, third, fourth interactions as you drag to the right. So let's start to look at the next big section. So we were in audience before. Let's start to open up the tabs underneath acquisition. Acquisition is basically to let you know where are people coming from. So if you click on overview, this is exactly what you will see. So this is, they're all kind of similar data, but just in different format. So if you like a pie chart, you get to see of all the people that's coming to the site, how are they coming to the site. So the first one here is organic. That's this large pie chart here. So about 38%. And again, that same data is displayed here as well. 302 people came from organic. And organic could be Google, Bing, Yahoo, some of the other search engines as well. And later on, we'll drill down deeper into each of these. But this is, again, just a broad overview of channels. Next, this pie chart here, which is in green, is paid traffic. That could be Google pay-per-click ads, Bing pay-per-click ads, or Yahoo pay-per-click ads. Those all count as paid search. Next, in this orange color pie chart here is referral. Referral is basically they came to your site from another website, not from the search engines. So maybe if you are a mail guard dealer and they came to your website from the dealer locator page on MailGuard's website, that would count as a referral. Again, later, we will drill down deeper and see where are all these referral sources coming from. Okay, so this, at least for this client, they actually do have a lot of referral traffic. Next, this blue pie chart here is direct. Direct is a little bit tricky to know where are people coming from. Direct could mean they saw your offline marketing. So maybe they saw your domain name is abcwindows.com. They maybe saw your newspaper ad, or it could be a friend telling them ABC Windows is the best, and they directly go on, they open up a browser directly typing in abcwindows.com. Okay, they basically bypassed a search engine, and that would count as a direct. So direct typically means they bypassed the search engines. They directly type in your domain name. Or they been to your site before and they bookmark your site like this. And next time they will come to favorites and then go into their bookmark and then find your domain name. And again, that bypassed a search engine, and that will still count as direct. So dirt is harder to know where exactly they're coming from. It typically means it's word of mouth or any type of offline marketing that you are doing. Next is display. Display is display ads. So if you're doing remarketing ads, that will count as display, like kind of like a banner ad. That would count as display. Next is social. So you can see very little traffic coming from social media. Again, this is a window and door example, a dealer of window and door. And obviously for that industry, social media don't get a lot of traction. Okay, so this is a pretty broad overview. This is typically what I look at just to see where are the traffic coming from. Let's start to drill deeper. So if you go, we were in overview. Now let's open up all traffic and go into channels. And same thing, you get to see that same graph over here, same chart, but again, broken into more data here. So you get to really see the behavior of the traffic, and you get to see percentage of new users as well. So typically what I want to look at is, for example, and this is pretty much true, is typically organic traffic. When people do come for organic, their average session duration is the longest, and the pages per session is typically again the highest. And paid search typically is a little bit less behind compared to organic, and which is pretty much typically true. And because, again, this really depends on whether you're doing quite a bit of mobile ads. Again, mobile ads, people don't spend on the site as much. Okay, and you can see referral, for some reason, referral isn't doing as well here for this example. So again, you get to see a breakdown of how per each of these channel sources, how engaged are they with the site. But let's drill in further. So again, let's keep moving down here. If you go to sources and mediums, you get to list out the top 25 or so of the most popular sources and mediums. So now this is all of the sources and mediums. So you can see now CPC is the number one, is the Google pay per click ads. That's the number one, followed by Google organic, right? That's the second most popular, followed by direct, and then followed by Bing organic and Yahoo organic. So you can see if we add up Yahoo organic, Bing organic, and Google organic, that would add up to this number here. Okay, so this one just really drills down very in depth as to which sources they're coming from. And we get to see, wow, a lot of referral sources, but a lot of these are actually spams. Floating share buttons, best SEO software. All these, unfortunately, are spams. And I'll tell you a little bit later as to how to filter this data out. And these are actually just, they don't do anything to your website. You can see once they come to your site, they only spend 0 seconds. So it's basically a spider that came to your site and leave right away. You can see the bounce rate, 100% bounce rate. So these are really just trash data. And you would think that Google would filter this out. They're really working hard to try to filter these data out. But these spam are pretty smart, right? They will, a few days, they will use this domain name, and then next day they will switch to another domain name. So it's these, unfortunately, these spams are everywhere, and most likely on your site, once you go into Google Analytics, you will see the exact same thing as well, with different referrals from sites you never heard of. But what's interesting here is to really look at who are the real sources, referrals. So Angie's List, right? For this client, they have 11 people coming from Angie's List. 6 coming from BBB, that will count as a good source, and also coming from Yellow Pages. Right, so it's really to go through this one by one and see where are people coming from. So if we really just look at the referrals, as I mentioned before, there's a lot of these referral traffic that's kind of spam. So you could also just open up only referral sources. So you get to see again all the referral sources. And a lot of these, as you can tell, a lot of these are all spams. Get free social traffic, free floating buttons. All these are spams. Okay, but some of these are pretty good, like PGT Industries, Hurricane Windows, Plaspro Inc., I think Entry Door. So some of these are coming from dealers. So one thing here, which is kind of nice to do, is to filter out these spam traffic. And it's pretty easy to filter these data out. So in the future, these data will be discounted. They will not show up on your Google Analytics report. So how you do that is on the top over here, we're under reporting. Go ahead and hit admin. Once you go into admin, you open up 3 columns of data here and hit filters. Once you go into filters, this is what you will see. So you can simply just click on add filter and then add in these referral sources that you don't want to show up on your analytics report. So basically you just copy this and then paste it into here, add filter. So you can definitely filter out spam websites. Also, what's kind of nice to have is if your staff and employees, they're going on your own website very frequently, then it's probably good to filter out your own data, people coming to your staff coming onto your site. So you could also filter out your IP address. Each internet connection for the office most likely has the same IP address. You could also filter that out as well. So again, same thing, just click on add filter. And if you know your IP address, just type in your IP address in here and add filter. Okay, so that's the referral part. Next is, let's keep going down here. You see search engine optimization here. And most likely when you hit this, this is what you will see. Most likely your Google Analytics is not synced up with your Search Console. Search Console used to be called Google Webmaster Tools, a different tool. And the name is called Webmaster Tools and sounds kind of intimidating. It's only for webmasters. So recently, Google changed the name to Search Console, so that way more people will use it. So you have to click on Set up Search Console Data Sharing and sync up with your Search Console in order for you to see these data. And again, it's very, very easy. All you have to do is hit this and then type in your domain name, and it will be synced up. But what you see here, which is pretty interesting, is once you synced it up, you get to see organically what kind of keywords, the query, people are typing into Google to find you. So for example, Hurricane Windows. This client is in Clearwater area, so a lot of people looking for Hurricane Windows. So you get to see they are relatively ranked for some of these keywords, okay? And then they're getting traffic from these keywords. But you can see here the arrow I put here to protect user privacy. Queries made a very small number of times or containing personal or sensitive information are grouped as not set. So you can see majority of data you see here is all not set. And this unfortunately is Google's way of protecting kind of the privacy. This data used to be shown about 2 years ago, but as you probably know, Google is getting sued by a lot of people, especially in Europe. So now they are filtering out quite a bit of data. But again, it's still good data for you to see. Okay, so I would definitely highly encourage you to at least make sure that you sync up with your Search Console. Next is as you move down from queries into landing pages, which is, I'm sorry, I hide this data, again, just for privacy reasons. But if you click on landing pages here, you get to see exactly each page that is organically found. So for example, if you have a page that is very well ranked for a set of keyword, then you get to see exactly that landing page, how many traffic actually pulled in. So you can see this page here pull a lot of traffic coming from, most likely that page is very well optimized for a keyword that the client want to be ranked. So again, you also get to see that data here. Next is if we move down and go to social and click on overview. And if you're very, very big on social media, then you get to see how many people are coming from these social media networks. But over here, you can see very little participation, at least on this client. They do very little on social media. So you can see there's only one people coming from social media. But if you're very big on social media, then you will most likely see more traffic coming from social media, like Twitter, Google+, Facebook. All those would count as social networks. So one thing here would be pretty interesting is if you're heavily participating on social media, and also if you're paying somebody else to do social media for you, then this would be a good way to figure out, hey, whether people are actually coming to the site from these social media efforts you're working on. Next is, of all of these sections, I think this section behavior is the most important section. So if you only have time once a month, then this would be the page I will go straight to. So under behavior, if you click on overview, you get a breakdown of the most visited pages. But I like to go on to the next page, which gives me even more data. Is under behavior, if you open up site content and click on all pages, this now lists out all of the pages on your site. And you can do it in ascending or descending order based on what data you want. So typically I will click on page views and I want to figure out what are the most popular pages. So again, as I mentioned before, this slash here, this backslash is just a home page. So obviously most people come to the home page first. And based on this data, the next most visited page is doors, followed by windows, followed by special offer, followed by contact us, followed by the two galleries, and then request a quote, testimonials, enclosures, and on. So what I'm looking at is, first of all, is to figure out what are the most visited pages. And it's always kind of nice to see that contact us is number 5, right? You want people to contact you. So definitely this tells me, okay, about 6 to 7% of the people do end up in the contact us page. And that's not bad. So because on this client's website, on the top right corner, there is already a phone number that people can call. So no matter which page they go on the top right hand corner, the phone number is already displayed. But obviously people still hit contact us, and we want to see at least minimally contact us is one of the most heavily visited page. So it's good to at least study what are some of the most visited page. Then I want to look at the engagement of each of these pages. So what I'm looking for is to skim through this and figure out which of these pages have high exit rate. High exit rate means once people come to this page, people leave. Okay, so obviously, once people come to contact us page, about 50% of the people left, right? Because they already found their information, whether it's coming over to your showroom or to call them. So it's very natural for people to drop off, and that's normal. Same thing with people coming to the get a quote page, then of course obviously people drop off. But what I'm looking for is any of these pages have high exit rate. So let's skim through this. So let's see here. I will say probably look through the list and then figure out, for example, this one here. Largo replacement windows, this page here, has high exit rate. About 50% of the people left. So this would be alarm to me. Same thing with this page here, Hurricane Windows in St. Petersburg. This one again has high exit rate. So this gives me alarm that maybe the content on these pages aren't jiving with these people. And that would be a page I should audit and see what else we can do to make sure people are more engaged with that page. So typically I skim through the list and figure out which of these have high exit rate. Okay. Then the other thing I look at is the average time on each of these pages and figure out which of these pages are lagging behind. So for example, the gallery page, right? The two galleries, the door gallery and the window gallery. In general, people love to look at pictures, especially before and after pictures. So the more pictures on these gallery pages, you can see people really want to look at pictures. It's number 6 and number 7 on here. And once people come to these pages, not a lot of pictures on this client's website. So you can see they only spent 21 seconds, 28 seconds. This right away tells me there's demand for people looking at pictures, right? A lot of people coming to these pages, but there's not enough pictures on here for them to stay on here. So then that would tell me right away we need to add more pictures on here, right? That way they stay on here longer. But people don't bounce, people don't leave right away. So very low exit rate, but we want people to stay on here longer. And you can see what I'm also looking at is which pages have same thing again, very low average time. And that would be, would be the enclosures page. So I think this one, very little time spent, only 19 seconds. So again, this will be indication to increase more content, add more content, or is it because the content on that page is too technical, right? Maybe a lot of text, not enough pictures on those pages. So that again would be a way for you to know right away that this page needs to be beefed up. So of all of the things I went over with you today, if all you have is a few minutes to spend on your analytics on a monthly basis, I would really go straight to behavior, go to all pages, and figure out what are the top 10 most visited page. Which pages have very low average time on page, and also which pages have high exit rate. And really work hard on adding more content to these pages. And most likely, you should be able to see a boost in conversions, right? More people should be calling you because now they're more engaged with the site. Next is conversions. So if we keep going down this, you see this conversions over here. And with Google Analytics, you get to track a few things here. If you have a form on your website, like a get a quote request form, you could actually, once people fill out the form, that would trigger a conversion. So you could track that as well. So for example, 7 people filled out the online contact form. You could track that. And you could theoretically also track number of phone calls that were being made if you do have a tracking number on your website. And there's some very special software, call tracking software you can put on your site. And that would be integrated and you get to see how many traffic is coming. But as I don't know whether you watch a coffee talk I gave, is if you are really reliant on local search, that's the map section of Google search, that section really heavily depends on your name, address, and phone number to be synced up. If your phone number is different between your Google page and your website, then most likely it's very, very hard for you to be ranked in local search. So these days, my recommendation is not to really go with a tracking number, because most likely you'll be, even if you got ranked, maybe there's a high chance of you being dropped off from local search until we have a better solution. But right now, Google's algorithm heavily relies on the consistency of name, address, and phone number. But minimally, I will say, yeah, if you do have a form on your website, it's probably good to just track how many people actually fill out the form on your site. If you do have some downloadable brochures, you can also track how many people actually download those as well. Okay, so it's actually very easy to set up goals. Again, if you go on admin, remember we talked about filters. You could also over here click on goals. And Google is actually, again, kind of friendly here. Is you get to see Google give you some templates. Do you want, if you have an e-commerce website, you can track how many orders were purchased, right? How many, if you have inquiries, you can set different goals, right? If you do have a newsletter on your site, you can track that as well, or number of people adding a certain product to a shopping cart. Okay, so you could definitely set different goals in there. Okay, so those are really the most important things that I would track, because there's so many things on here that's super overly advanced. But I think those data really don't make huge dent on conversions. So the numbers I went over with you today are probably the most important things I would look at. So just to summarize, is I would definitely recommend, if you do have time, is to monitor and analyze your Google Analytics data on a weekly basis. And is to really, based on these data, is to figure out where are the traffic coming from. And also, are there any new sources that you never seen before? Maybe you got written up on a magazine or a newspaper, and suddenly you got a surge of traffic from that source. Or maybe you got written up by a pretty big blog and they're starting to send traffic to your website and you don't even know. Then you can circle back and reach back to those blog owners and basically thank them and build a long-term relationship with them. Next is to also figure out whether there's an increase or decrease in traffic, right? If your business is very seasonal, of course, it's pretty natural to see a drop in traffic. But suddenly you see a huge step function down in traffic, or maybe step up, function up in traffic. And you might want to match it up and see whether Google did a major algorithm update. If you're doing white hat tactics on organic search, most likely you will see a step function up in traffic. If you're using black hat tactics, if people promise you, hey, we'll get you ranked guaranteed in 2 months, most likely you're using black hat tactics. And most likely, if Google does do a major algorithm updates, your site will be penalized. Then you will see a step down in traffic. So this, again, is great to monitor this just to see whether there's any drop or increase in traffic. But to me, probably the most important here, again, is the bottom line is number of phone calls that were being generated from the website. And that would be to really increase the conversion of the website. Would be, my overall suggestion is to definitely keep adding more content to your website. The more content there is, the more time spent on the overall site and the deeper people go. So just to name a few, definitely add more before and after pictures. The more the better. Make sure to update your coupons. And as I looked at this with you before, you can see that special offer page, typically people love bargains. So people really do go on the coupons page. So that's why make sure to keep your coupons attractive, and also to make sure that there's a deadline on there as well. Next is testimonials. Keep adding more testimonials. People love to look at credentials. More the better. And also, if you do have videos, like a business profile video, testimonial video, people love to look at pictures. Look at videos. And typically, having videos on your website really will shoot up the average time spent. People just love to look at videos. Okay. The other thing here is to really go through and figure out which pages have very high exit rate and also which pages have very low time spent, and really to add more content to those pages. Okay, so that's basically it. It's actually not that intimidating. I don't believe so. So hopefully you're able to confidently navigate into Google Analytics and then really follow some of the suggestions I gave you, is to watch some of these very critical metrics. And let me really briefly, just to recap very quick here on the big overall stuff. So one thing here is once you log in, I would definitely go in and look at overview and look at these important metrics here. The overall number of users, the average time spent on the site overall, and the average pages they're going. And again, you definitely want to make sure you're beating the average. After overview, typically I go straight down to mobile. Okay. Mobile wise, you want to figure out how many people are coming from mobile devices, the percentage. If your mobile traffic is more than 20%, make sure you have a mobile friendly website. Next is I typically go straight down to acquisitions and then straight to channels. I want to figure out which channel are people coming from. And then I really want to go in depth and go to sources and mediums and see even more finer detail where exactly are people coming from. So whether they're coming from paid ads, which source of paid ad. If they're coming from organic, which source of organic. And also to figure out which of these are so-called trash sources and then filter them out. So those are the big things. And then I would really just go down directly to behavior. Okay, on the left hand side, go straight to behavior and then go straight to all pages and then figure out which pages have high conversion, which ones have high exit rate, and also low on page time. So it's actually not that tough. It's really just probably only take you 10 minutes or so to monitor this. And those are probably the critical metrics I would look at if I were you. Okay, so that's it for today. And if you want me to sit down with you via GoToMeeting and really audit your account with you one-on-one, just let me know. You can call me or send me an email. Happy to go through your account with you, look at opportunities to increase conversions, which pages are working, which ones are not working, and also, again, just to kind of navigate with you and educate you on how to use your analytics. Okay, and that's it. If you have any questions, please type into the chat box and happy to go through your questions with you. And Allison, do you know whether there's any questions?
Yes, there are two here.
Okay.
The first one, can we add multiple websites under one account?
Okay, interesting. Yes, you can. So some of the clients I have, they have multiple websites, and definitely with the same Google Analytics login and password, you can add multiple websites in there. And each website, of course, would have its own analytics results, but they could definitely be under one account. That way it's very easy for you to navigate around go straight into each of the websites. and look at the health.
Right. Good. The second question here is there any way to see Google Analytics for our competitors?
Good question. So unfortunately, again, I think this is good, is nobody can see your analytics results, right? Because this code has to be physically embedded on your website. So that's why nobody can see your analytics results, just for privacy reason. You don't want your competition to see your analytics results. But of course, there's other tools out there. There's a lot of spy tools that we have that could look at the health of the website, how many people are coming to the site, things like that. But of course, the data is not as accurate as the true analytics results. Okay. Any other questions, Allison?
Nope, I think that's it.
Cool. Okay, great. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining this webinar, and look forward to talking to you in the near future. Bye-bye.